The Human Body and Spirit, an exploration of man's dual nature. Chapter 1, Introduction, The Human Being as Mystery. The question, what is man, has accompanied humanity since the dawn of thought. Philosophers, scientists, mystics, and poets have all attempted to answer it, yet none has ever exhausted its depth. For the human being is not merely flesh and blood, nor is he solely mind or soul, he is both. He is a synthesis of matter and spirit, of the temporary and the eternal. To view man only as a biological machine is to see but half the picture. And to regard him only as a disembodied soul is equally one-sided. The mystery of the human being lies precisely in the union of these two dimensions, the tangible body and the invisible spiritual essence that inhabits it. Our body is undeniably a creation of nature. It is made of cells, built from molecules and atoms, themselves composed of vibrating fields of energy and particles. This organic machine eats, drinks, sleeps, grows, feels pain, and seeks pleasure. It is finite, fragile, and subject to decay. Yet it is more than matter, it is the vessel of something that stretches beyond the boundaries of biology and physics. For while the body hungers for food, man also hungers for meaning. While the body seeks rest in sleep, the soul longs for peace in the infinite. While the body is driven by sexual impulses to continue the species, the spirit seeks union with the divine, the One. It is this dual nature that makes man unique. He is both dust and light, perishable and imperishable. He dwells in the world of forms yet carries within him the echo of a limitless reality. The purpose of this work is to explore this twofold dimension of the human being, the bodily and the spiritual. We begin with the visible, the concrete, the body with its necessities and impulses. For only when we understand and learn to govern the body can we make space for the unveiling of deeper realities within. From there, we journey inward, into the subtle regions of mind, soul, and consciousness, to see how they arise in relation to the body and how they reveal the true essence of who we are. This inquiry is not abstract philosophy alone. It is a matter of existence itself. It shapes the way we live, love, suffer, and die. To live as if one is only a body is to be enslaved by instincts. To live as if one is only spirit is to risk detachment from the earth. But to realize that man is both, a wondrous intersection of matter and meaning, is to stand at the threshold of wisdom. Thus, in the chapters to come, we will peel away the layers of this mystery. We will consider the essential needs of the body, the command of the brain, the formation of consciousness, and the age-old question of life after death. Above all, we will explore how man may overcome enslavement to bodily impulses and instead transform the body into an instrument of the soul. For ultimately, man is not only a body that lives for a moment, nor merely a soul that hovers apart from earth. He is both. He is the meeting place of the visible and the invisible, the temporal and the eternal. And it is within this tension that the true adventure of human existence unfolds. Chapter 2, The Human Body and Its Basic Needs. To begin our journey into the mystery of man, we must start with the most immediate and obvious reality, the body. It is through the body that we first experience the world, and it is through the body that the spirit expresses itself in time and space. No matter how elevated our thoughts or how transcendent our aspirations, we cannot escape the fact that the human being is rooted in a physical form with concrete needs. These needs are not arbitrary. They are woven into the very fabric of our biology, ensuring survival, growth, and reproduction. The body requires food and drink to sustain itself, sleep to repair itself, and sexuality to continue the species. These rhythms are universal, binding every human being to the same ground of existence, whether king or beggar, saint or sinner. Eating and drinking, the fuel of existence. The act of eating and drinking may appear ordinary, yet it is the foundation of life itself. Without nourishment, the body collapses. Every cell depends on the constant intake of energy in order to perform its functions. Food is broken down, transformed into energy, and distributed throughout the body, while waste is expelled. This process is relentless. When it ceases, the body dies. But eating is more than biology. It has always carried a symbolic and even sacred dimension. In ancient cultures, meals were offerings, rituals of gratitude to the gods or to nature. In many religions, food is sanctified through prayer, fasting, or dietary laws, reflecting the belief that what enters the body shapes not only physical health but also spiritual state. To eat mindlessly is to reduce food to fuel. To eat with awareness is to recognize that in every bite we participate in the cycle of life and death. Grains, fruits, and animals give their lives so that ours may continue. This recognition transforms eating into a moment of humility, gratitude, and connection to the greater whole. Sleep, the mystery of rest. No less essential than food is sleep. It is impossible to live without it. Even those who suffer from insomnia are compelled into some form of rest, otherwise, both body and mind disintegrate. Sleep is the body's natural reset, the brain's time to process memories, restore neurotransmitters, and regulate hormones. Yet sleep, like eating, is not merely mechanical. It has long been regarded as a doorway to other realms. Ancient civilizations believed dreams carried messages from the gods. Modern psychology interprets them as expressions of the unconscious. Mystics across cultures have used sleep and dream states to glimpse dimensions beyond waking life. The duality of sleep mirrors the duality of the human being. For the body, sleep is repair. For the mind, it is a landscape of symbols. And for the spirit, it may be a passage into subtler realities. Near-death experiences, out-of-body reports, and mystical visions often describe states that resemble dreams but carry a deeper, more luminous clarity. In this sense, sleep can be seen as both a necessity for survival and a rehearsal for death. Sexuality, the impulse of life. Among the body's needs, sexuality holds a unique place. Even if a person never engages in a relationship or marriage, sexual energy is present. Hormones are produced, the body generates and releases reproductive fluids. Sexuality is not optional, it is woven into the very biology of life. At its most basic, sex ensures the continuation of the species. But its significance goes far beyond reproduction. Sexuality is also an expression of intimacy, creativity, and union. In many mystical traditions, sexual energy is seen as a sacred force, capable of being transformed into higher states of consciousness. Practices of Tantra, for example, regard sexuality as a bridge between the physical and the divine. At the same time, sexuality is a source of profound struggle. When uncontrolled, it can enslave a person, leading to addiction, exploitation, or emptiness. When suppressed, it can warp into repression or frustration. The challenge is not to deny sexuality but to integrate it, to recognize it as both a natural impulse and a potential energy for transformation. The necessity and the danger of bodily needs. Eating, sleeping, and sexuality are indispensable. Without them, the body cannot live. Yet it is precisely because they are indispensable that they can dominate human life. To live only for food, sleep, or sex is to reduce oneself to the level of instinct. Animals live this way, but the human being is called to more. The question, then, is not whether we must eat, sleep, and reproduce. Of course we must. The question is, how do we relate to these needs? Do we live as slaves to them, or do we learn to govern them? Do we eat for mere pleasure, or do we eat with gratitude? Do we sleep as escapism, or do we rest in awareness? Do we treat sexuality as indulgence, or do we honor it as sacred? This is where philosophy, spirituality, and discipline enter. For while the body has its needs, man has the capacity to rise above blind compulsion. He can recognize his instincts, channel them, and even transform them into vehicles of self-knowledge. Chapter 3: The Brain, Master of the Body. If the body is the vessel of human life, the brain is its command center. Every movement, thought, sensation, and impulse is orchestrated by this extraordinary organ. It is the conductor of the body's symphony, translating raw stimuli into experience and directing the countless processes that sustain life. The brain weighs little more than 3 pounds, yet it holds a universe within it. Containing billions of neurons connected through trillions of synapses, it is arguably the most complex structure in the known cosmos. It regulates heartbeat, breathing, digestion, and sleep. It generates thought, imagination, and memory. It creates art, science, and culture. But above all, the brain gives rise to the phenomenon we call consciousness. The illusion of the I. One of the brain's most powerful functions is also one of its most deceptive. It creates the sense of self. From infancy, the brain builds a model of reality, and at the center of that model is the idea that I exist as a separate being. This identity is reinforced through language, memory, and social conditioning. Psychology has shown how fragile this identity can be. Some psychiatric disorders involve a breakdown of the sense of self. Patients may believe they are an animal, an object, or even someone else entirely. These extreme cases reveal how the I is not a fixed entity but a construct, a narrative generated by the brain. Mystical traditions echo this insight. They teach that to believe one's essence is merely the body is a fundamental illusion. To identify entirely with flesh and bone is to mistake the container for the content. The true self, they insist, is not the body, nor even the brain, but the consciousness that shines through them. Matter as energy. Modern physics deepens this perspective. For centuries, matter was thought to be solid, composed of indivisible atoms. But the more science has progressed, the more it has revealed that matter is not what it seems. Atoms are mostly empty space, their apparent solidity an illusion created by electromagnetic forces. Beyond atoms lie subatomic particles, electrons, protons, neutrons, each of which can be further broken down into quarks, neutrinos, and fleeting particles like mesons. And beyond these, what we find is not solid stuff but fields of energy, waves vibrating in patterns that give the illusion of form. The human body, then, is not a mass of solid matter but a dynamic field of energy. Every cell, every atom, is part of an electromagnetic dance that extends into the universe itself. When we look deeply into what we call the body, we find no fixed substance, only waves and relationships, form arising from the invisible play of forces. Consciousness and the brain. Where, then, does consciousness fit into this picture? Is it merely a byproduct of neural activity, or does it arise from something deeper? Many scientists argue that consciousness is an emergent property of the brain's complexity. When neurons fire in particular patterns, the subjective experience of awareness arises. Yet this explanation, while appealing, leaves unanswered the central mystery: why does matter produce experience at all? How does the firing of neurons translate into the taste of sweetness, the color of red, or the feeling of love? Philosophers call this the hard problem of consciousness. It suggests that awareness cannot be fully explained by matter alone. Instead, consciousness may be fundamental, a property of the universe itself, reflected in the human brain like light in a mirror. The brain as a receiver. From a spiritual perspective, the brain is not the origin of consciousness but its receiver. Just as a radio translates invisible waves into sound, the brain translates universal consciousness into individual awareness. The spirit, in this view, reflects the first intellect, the primal intelligence that underlies all existence. Without the brain, the spirit cannot express itself in this world. Without the spirit, the brain is a lifeless organ. Together, they form the individual self. The brain creates the personal consciousness, but the essence of that consciousness is rooted in something beyond matter. Two kinds of personality. This interplay between brain and spirit produces what we call personality. Yet not all personalities are alike. One kind arises from conditioning and bodily impulses, shaped by habits, desires, and social pressures. This is the body-based personality. The other arises from awareness and insight, shaped by reflection, discipline, and spiritual realization. This is the consciousness-based personality. The difference is profound. The body-based personality is reactive, pulled by instincts and illusions. The consciousness-based personality is creative, rooted in freedom and awareness. The first believes it is the body. The second recognizes that it has a body but is more than it. The inescapable role of the brain. Even for those who awaken to their essential self, the brain remains central. As long as we live in this body, we cannot ignore it. The brain not only governs the body but also generates the very spirit that will live on beyond death. It is the bridge between the temporal and the eternal, the finite and the infinite. The ancient scriptures hint at this truth. In symbolic language, they describe man as being created from clay mixed with water. This clay, far from ordinary soil, can be understood as the cells of the body, formed from the dust of the earth, arranged into the miraculous complexity of life. Within this clay vessel arises the brain, the crown of creation, through which the human spirit takes shape. In this sense, the brain is not merely an organ but the very axis of human destiny. It binds us to our bodily needs while opening us to the vastness of consciousness. It is the source of our illusions and the doorway to our liberation. Chapter 4: The Emergence of the Human Spirit. If the body provides the foundation and the brain serves as its command center, then the spirit is the flowering of human existence. Without the spirit, man is a mere organism, complex, yes, but lacking depth. With the spirit, he becomes a being capable of awareness, love, imagination, and transcendence. The spirit is the invisible thread that connects the human to both his inner self and the greater reality beyond him. The birth of spirit. How does the spirit arise? From a spiritual perspective, the spirit reflects what has been called the first intellect, the primal source of consciousness, the archetypal intelligence that underlies existence. This universal consciousness shines into the human brain, and within that meeting a unique individual spirit is formed. The process is mysterious, but the outcome is clear: without spirit, there is no person. The body may live, but it would be devoid of individuality and meaning. The spirit is what carries memory, character, and awareness. It is what makes each of us distinct while at the same time linking us to a greater whole. Conscious and unconscious formation. The spirit can form in two ways, consciously or unconsciously. Unconscious formation happens through conditioning. From childhood, we are shaped by culture, language, habits, and external pressures. These influences mold our sense of identity, often without our awareness. This creates a body-based personality, reactive and limited, tied to illusion. Conscious formation arises through awareness. When a person reflects, questions, and seeks truth beyond conditioning, they begin to shape their spirit from the inside. This creates a consciousness-based personality, free to rise above mere instinct and social programming. Both forms exist within us. Yet only the conscious path leads to freedom. The unconscious spirit is bound by its conditioning. The conscious spirit awakens to its true nature. The persistence of spirit. Once formed, the spirit cannot be undone. The personal consciousness, your unique I, is immortal. It may be shaped, purified, or transformed, but it does not vanish. Just as energy cannot be destroyed but only changed in form, so too the spirit continues beyond the body's death. This is why the human spirit is often described as a mirror of the divine. It is finite in expression but infinite in essence. It cannot fully know itself, for the eye cannot see itself directly. And yet, through awareness, the spirit can glimpse its origin in the eternal intellect. The limits of self-knowledge. A paradox lies at the heart of this reality. It is possible to know the spirit in terms of its effects, consciousness, memory, imagination, but impossible to know the spirit itself. It is like trying to see the sun with the naked eye. We see its light everywhere, yet the source remains veiled. Mystics across traditions have wrestled with this paradox. Some describe the spirit as a point of light within an infinite field. Others call it a reflection, an echo of the divine within human form. However we describe it, the essential truth remains: the spirit is who we truly are, and yet it is forever beyond our grasp. The eternal individual. Realizing one's essential self does not annihilate individuality. Even when someone awakens to the truth that they contain within themselves the meanings of all existence, that they are a microcosm of the whole, they do not lose their personal existence. The individual spirit continues, distinct yet inseparable from the infinite. This continuity is both gift and responsibility. For it means that what we cultivate within our spirit, light or darkness, love or hatred, wisdom or ignorance, remains with us beyond death. The spirit carries the record of our being into eternity. The brain and the spirit. As long as we inhabit the body, however, we cannot ignore the role of the brain. It is the brain that shapes the spirit's form in this world, that stores memory, processes experience, and translates the universal into the personal. The brain creates the framework through which the spirit can unfold, and in turn, the spirit gives meaning to the brain's functions. Thus, while the spirit is eternal, it is also bound to the brain during earthly life. This tension is central to the human condition. We are eternal beings living in temporary forms, infinite spirits confined within finite brains. The symbol of clay. Religious texts express this truth in symbolic language. We created man from clay, says one scripture. Clay here does not refer literally to soil but to cells, tiny living units made of water, minerals, and organic compounds. From this clay, life emerges, and from life, the brain. And it is through the brain that the spirit takes form. 15 billion cells make up the human body, each alive with activity, each part of a greater whole. Yet the essence of man does not lie in the cells themselves but in the consciousness that flows through them. The clay is the vessel, the spirit is the treasure within. Governing the self. The great challenge, then, is to recognize the spirit and not mistake the body for the self. To believe that we are the body is illusion. To know that we are the spirit is awakening. But awakening requires discipline. One must learn to govern the impulses of the body, to master hunger, desire, and fear, so that the spirit may shine. For the body is powerful. Its instincts are strong. Left unchecked, they enslave the mind and obscure the spirit. But when governed, they become tools, servants of the higher self rather than masters. This is the path of freedom, not denial of the body, but mastery over it. Chapter 5: The Tension Between Body and Consciousness. Human life unfolds in the space between two poles, the demands of the body and the calling of consciousness. On the one hand, the body insists on its needs: hunger, thirst, sleep, sex, comfort, security. On the other hand, consciousness whispers of deeper realities: truth, beauty, love, transcendence. To be human is to live within this tension, often torn between the pull of instinct and the longing for the infinite. Conditioning and illusion. From the earliest years of life, the body's impulses are shaped by conditioning. Society teaches us what to desire, what to fear, what to consider important. Advertising, culture, and family imprint us with images of success and failure, pleasure and pain. Much of what we chase in life is not truly our own desire but the echo of external conditioning. Illusion arises when we identify completely with these impulses. We mistake social approval for meaning, wealth for fulfillment, pleasure for happiness. Yet none of these satisfy the spirit. They belong to the realm of the body, and while they may comfort it temporarily, they leave the deeper self hungry. The struggle for freedom. This is why so many spiritual traditions emphasize self-discipline. To free the spirit, one must resist the tyranny of bodily impulses. This does not mean denying the body altogether, but mastering it. Fasting, prayer, meditation, and ascetic practices exist in every tradition as tools for this mastery. By restraining the body, we loosen its grip and create space for consciousness to awaken. Consider anger. In the heat of the moment, the body urges us to strike, to lash out, to defend our pride. But if we remember that words and actions are written into the spirit, we may pause, reflect, and choose differently. This is the work of consciousness, to govern instinct rather than be enslaved by it. False freedoms. Modern culture often celebrates indulgence as freedom. To eat what we want, to sleep when we want, to indulge every desire, this is presented as liberation. But in truth, it is another form of captivity. A person who cannot say no to their impulses is not free but bound, like a ship without a rudder. Real freedom lies in self-mastery. The one who can eat but also fast, who can desire but also restrain, who can enjoy but also renounce, that person is free. The body still speaks, but it no longer rules. Consciousness has taken the throne. The role of knowledge. Yet knowledge alone is not enough. History is full of brilliant minds who understood the structure of the cosmos but failed to govern their own desires. The mystic Abdulkader al-Jilani once said, "I saw Plato in hell, his rank higher than many believers." The meaning is clear: intellectual knowledge without discipline does not save the soul. To know the truth and fail to live it is to deepen one's bondage. The body is prison and gateway. The body can be both a prison and a gateway. When we identify with it fully, its instincts bind us like chains. We eat without awareness, sleep without gratitude, desire without restraint. In this state, the body imprisons the spirit. But when we learn to govern the body, it becomes a gateway. Food becomes gratitude, sleep becomes renewal, sexuality becomes sacred union. In this way, the very needs that once enslaved us become paths to transcendence. The prison transforms into a temple. Beyond predisposition. Even predisposition, the tendencies written into our brains and bodies by genetics or cosmic influences, does not have to define us. Though certain circuits may be activated by cosmic rays, though certain, immutable archetypal realities shape our inclinations, we are not powerless. With awareness and discipline, we can move beyond our conditioning. We can break through the veils of nature and touch realities beyond. This is the meaning of spiritual struggle. It is not a war against the body but a refinement of it, a cleansing of its illusions, a reorientation of its energies. Through this struggle, the human being discovers his essential reality, not as body, not even as mind, but as spirit, eternal and free. Chapter 6, Conclusion, The Path of Integration. The journey we have taken, from body to brain, from brain to spirit, from spirit to consciousness, reveals a profound truth: the human being is not one-dimensional. He is not merely flesh, nor merely soul, nor merely thought. He is all of these at once, woven into a unity that is both fragile and eternal. The body anchors us in the material world. It demands food, water, sleep, and sexuality. These are not evils to be rejected, but realities to be understood. Without them, life cannot continue. Yet when they dominate us, they blind us to the deeper dimensions of who we are. The brain orchestrates our existence. It is the most intricate organ in the known universe, shaping our perceptions, constructing the sense of I, and translating universal consciousness into personal awareness. It is the meeting point of clay and light, matter and meaning. But even the brain is not the ultimate self, it is the stage upon which the spirit appears. The spirit is the essence of man. Formed through the brain, yet reflecting the universal intellect, it carries our consciousness, memory, and individuality into eternity. It cannot be undone. It is both the mirror of the divine and the unique expression of the individual. And it is the spirit that reveals to us that we are more than our instincts, more than our conditioning, more than our fleeting desires. Yet the human condition is marked by tension. The body pulls us downward with its impulses, consciousness calls us upward toward transcendence. We are caught in this struggle, and it is here that our destiny is shaped. To surrender to instinct is to live as a captive of illusion. To govern the body and awaken to spirit is to live as a free being, radiant with light. Knowledge alone is not enough. Great philosophers may understand the cosmos, yet remain prisoners of their impulses. True liberation requires discipline, the daily practice of mastering the body, cleansing the mind, and directing one's energies toward the eternal. This discipline is not repression but transformation. Food becomes gratitude, sleep becomes renewal, sexuality becomes sacred, thought becomes reflection, and action becomes service. The very needs that once enslaved us become the pathways through which we encounter the infinite. Thus the human being, when awakened, becomes both humble and exalted. Humble, because he recognizes the limits of his body and the illusions of his mind; exalted, because he realizes that within him shines the light of the eternal spirit. The ancient wisdom echoes through time: man is clay, yet also light, dust, yet also eternity. To live as if one is only body is to forget the truth. To live as if one is only spirit is to neglect the gift of embodiment. But to live with awareness of both is to walk the path of integration. To eat with gratitude, to sleep with awareness, to govern desire with wisdom, to discipline the mind, and to honor the spirit, this is the art of being human. Subscribe for more reflections that awaken the soul and remind us of our eternal reality.